Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Millerick. I have my sunglasses on because it is so bright outside. I'm hanging out here with the largest light source there is. You guys know what it is? What's the largest light source? I'll give you a hint. It's natural. So that means that it doesn't need electricity, you don't need to plug it in, it doesn't need batteries. It was not made by humans. It was just there. It's always there. What is it? The sun, the largest light source. But it's a little too bright out here, so I'm gonna go inside for the rest of this lesson. I'll meet you guys in there. All right, welcome back. I'm indoors now and I'm ready for this lesson. But before we get started with our activities and the investigations that we have, we're going to go over what exactly it is that we're learning about, right? We're learning about light energy. And last week you had some activities that included sorting different light energy, right? Like some light that we use during the day is from the sun. It comes through our houses, it came through the school windows, comes through the car window. Sometimes you might turn on the lights in your house or from a lamp. Sometimes you might use the phone light, the flashlight. So there are many different types of light, and you guys should know all about that now. But back to what exactly it is that we're learning about. The first one is what light is. And we know by now that light is an energy and it allows us to see objects. And you guys got to test that out last week with my little black box that I had, right? There's a finger light on top, there's an object inside. I'm not gonna say what it is just in case some of my friends didn't watch last week's video. But when you peek inside, you cannot see what the object is. It's almost impossible, right? But when you turn the finger light on and there's light lighting up the inside of the box, you can see what the object is, okay? So that was the first investigation we did. It was a really mini, quick one, and we found out what light is. Light helps us see. It's an energy that helps us see, okay? The next part of light energy that we want to learn about is right here, number 2, how light travels. And what I have here is my own little flashlight, and then it is shining light, and inside of that it says light travels blank. Because I'm not just going to give you guys the answer, we're going to investigate that today, very shortly. We will investigate how light travels, all right? Just like sound, light has its own way of traveling. And then the third part that we're learning about, what light can travel through. And some of you did a little bit of that already last week, right? You had an activity where there was a see-through window. You could see completely through, the light could get completely through, and that's called transparent, when light can get completely through something. You have the kind of see-through drawing, right? Where some light is getting through. And when only some light can get through an object, that's called translucent. And then lastly, we have the diagram of no light getting through. You cannot see through that window and there's no light coming into that room. And that is called opaque. When light cannot get through something, it's called opaque. So you might have done some investigating about different objects in your house that light can travel through, light can kind of travel through, and light cannot travel through at all. All right? We'll talk more about that today. And I don't expect you to memorize all of those new words. I just want to continue to say them so that you guys become more familiar with them. So we are back, and you will notice that the whiteboard looks a little bit different. I erased 1 and 3 that we're learning about, and I just left number 2 because I really want to hyper focus on this one, how light travels. In a moment, we're going to do a little mini investigation, and we will be able to fill in this blank space right here with this sentence. Remember, I have a flashlight, it's turned on, and it's shining a beam of light. And inside that beam of light, it says, light travels blank. We are going to figure out what to put on that line, how to finish that sentence. How exactly does light travel? Do you think light travels in a squiggly line, like that? Do you think that light travels in a straight line, like that? Or do you think light travels in spaces? Maybe you have a totally different idea. Why don't you give yourself a moment to make a prediction? How do you think light travels? All right, boys and girls, so you may have noticed that I'm in a different room and that it's way darker. That's because the room that I was in before is just windows, so the sun is brightening that room up. And for this investigation, kind of like when we do investigations in Miss Millerick's classroom, we need a darker space. So I shut the curtains, I shut the blinds on the other side of the room, and it's not pitch black, but it is a little bit dark. And if you decide to do this investigation at home, you're going to want to go in a room where you can shut the blinds too, okay? So what you'll need is some type of light. I have a flashlight. You will also need 3 index cards, and I didn't have index cards. So what I did was I took paper that is strong, like construction paper, and I cut them into the size of an index card. All right, and then I poked holes through them. You want to keep the 3 cards together when you poke the holes through them so that their holes are in the same spot. And then you also need something that's going to stand the index card up. All right, you could easily use a paper clip, but I have these little mini clips right here that I'm going to use. First graders, let me tell you, it's not easy to get cards to stand up. Anyways, I have it now. And what you do with the flashlight is you want to shine them through those holes. And you want to make sure that your cards are in line with each other when you do this. And the reason I have a little whiteboard back here is because I want to see where the light lands if the light does land anywhere. If I don't have anything here, then the light might go all the way towards the curtains and I might not be able to see it that far. All right? So I have this here to shine the light onto. So I'm shining the light directly through that first hole right there. And I don't know if you guys can see, but it's coming out on the other side of the whiteboard. So the light is traveling straight directly through these 3 holes. I wonder what will happen if we move one of the cards. What if we move the first card? And I'll shine the light through again. Can I get it through those other 2 holes? I don't know if you guys can see, but there's no light on the whiteboard. So light can't travel in a squiggly line. It can't go like this. Let's put it back again. Here it is. It's going through. It's on the whiteboard. Okay, so right now the flashlight is not going through the cards. It's over there. But if I turn it and I put it directly in that hole, it hits the next hole and the next one. And look at that. It goes over to the whiteboard. So the light is traveling in a straight line. All right, boys and girls, so we know now that light travels in a straight line. And let's finish that sentence. Light travels in a straight line. So mid-lesson, we're just going to do a quick recap because you can never do enough reviews of what you're learning, right? Let's go through those 3 major points of light. So number 1, we know that light energy allows us to see objects. Number 2, after that little mini investigation, we now know that light travels in a straight line, right? It doesn't zigzag, it doesn't squiggly, it doesn't hop. It goes straight in a line. Okay, and now number 3, what does light travel through? That's what we're going to talk about just a little bit for the rest of this lesson. And I know that you guys did an investigation last week where you walked around your house with a light and you tried shining it through objects. And you might have noticed that it does travel through some objects, but it doesn't travel through all. Okay, so we're going to work on this worksheet together. This was bonus last week, so if you didn't do it, that's okay. But this is going to help us be more comfortable with this question. What does light travel through? Okay? All right, boys and girls. So again, this was just for bonus. You didn't have to do this, but if you did, you might want to grab it just so that you can check your work. So there's two parts to this worksheet. The first one says draw a line to match the picture to the word. So there's 3 pictures over here, and there's 3 science vocabulary words over here. There is a lamp that it's pointing to, a lampshade. There's another arrow pointing to a book, and then there's an arrow pointing to the boy's glasses. The 3 vocabulary words are transparent. I'll remind you that that means see-through. Translucent, which means kind of see-through. And opaque, which means not see-through, so you can't get light through it at all. So the first one, the lampshade, there is light coming through, right? But all of the light, not so much. We're gonna draw a line to translucent. A lampshade lets some light in, but not all of it. The next one, the arrow pointing to the book. Can you shine light through a book? No, we could not shine light through that book, right? So we're gonna draw a line from the book to opaque. And then the last one, the glasses. Yes, glasses are made out of glass, which is an object that is completely see-through. They're clear. So we're going to draw a line from the glasses up to the vocabulary word transparent. And then you could have finished this sentence in many different ways, right? But it says, if there were no transparent materials, how could you finish that sentence? If there were no transparent materials. Well, then we wouldn't have windows. That's what I'm gonna write. Then we wouldn't have windows because windows are see-through, right? That's how we get sunlight in the house during the day. And we wouldn't have windows. You could have written anything down here. You could have wrote, if there were no transparent materials, then this boy wouldn't have glasses. We wouldn't have glasses to drink water out of. There would be a lot of things we wouldn't have if there was no such thing as transparent materials. So coming back to number 3, what does light travel through? We know that light travels through transparent materials, like the windows behind me. They're transparent, completely see-through. We know that light travels through translucent materials, but not all the way, only some of the way, okay? But light cannot travel through opaque materials. So I'm gonna put this one down here, and I'm gonna put an X next to it, right? Light cannot get through opaque materials. Last part of the video, I just wanted to explain to you guys the follow-up work for today, all right? It is going to be a little bit tricky, but I know that you could do it all on your own. I'm just gonna explain some parts of it. Just sharing my screen with you guys. So, if you look right here, it says first grade light energy day 2 in the corner. This is your follow-up work for today. What you're going to need are a flashlight and then the following 4 stations set up. So a plastic bag, your own hand, that'll be easy, a book, and tissue paper. And if you don't have tissue paper, then you could just use a real tissue or toilet paper, either or. And then here are the directions, but I'm just gonna show you the worksheet as well. So it says shine a flashlight at each material onto white paper. Write your observations about what happens to the light. So you wanna match those 4 numbers right there up with the 4 objects right here. So number 3, for example, you would draw your observations for what happens for number 3, the book, right here in this space. So I'll show you, for example, I have a light, I have a book, and then I have a white piece of paper right here. So what you would do, and you might need a little help, is you would have somebody hold the white paper, somebody hold the book, and then you would shine the light through it. And if you could see the light go through the book onto the white paper, the same way I did with the board, the whiteboard, if you can see it, that's cool.
That means that the light went through the book. So what I want you to do is go back to your recording sheet and draw what happened. All right? I also want to show you guys that I shared with you, just like I said I would, I shared with you this activity with the index cards and the flashlights and the holes. And I also shared this with you, and you can make your own. All right? And we know now that light travels in a straight line. Have fun with all that work. Bye, guys.